welcome everybody. And first of all, can I say an enormous thank you to Minister, not just for her presence here and with Dibe for facilitating this incredible event, but also for her vision. We've had the opportunity to meet, and it's really impressive in how a state that's already rich in mining is actually really looking at investing in travel and tourism. So I'm very grateful that you've invited us to be with you for the next 3 days. Thank you, Minister, indeed. And I did, as I said, really want to thank Tourism Western Australia to welcome us to this wonderful region and state. And over the upcoming days, we will be making several important announcements. 2 reports for you, one focusing on Oceania and how to unlock its full potential. That's obviously looking at all the islands together with Australia and New Zealand. As well as the first ever Indigenous report and analysis that WTTC has published. I highly recommend those, and there's some very strong news aspects into each of them. And during our global summit, we're going to be launching something called Together in Travel. This is a WTTC initiative focusing on creating accessible content for SMEs on a global level. As many of you in this room know, we represent 200 of the top CEOs and leaders in travel and tourism. Nobody knows exactly what percentage SMEs make up of our sector, but some people have said it can be as much as 80%. And they are our kind of lifeblood and our green shoots of the whole sector. So we will be launching here a new platform for them. It's going to offer key insights, success stories, interviews from some of the best voices in travel and tourism. And it's going to be free to sign up to on togetherintravel.com. Any future phases will offer a premium subscription offering, including webinars and networking features. Anyway, you will hear more about all of these. Please come to the opening speeches tomorrow, where there's a lot more detail. And of course, our wonderful comms team with Elena and Jamie will be sending out press releases to your inboxes, and will be inviting you to come to all the different press conferences. We're also introducing a brand new panel on the programme. Those of you that have maybe been here before, we're not allowed to call it Dragon's Den because that is copy marked. But Investors Nest is going to see university students from around the world, including a really talented team from here, from Perth, to pitch their ideas for sustainable tourism to a very astute and hawkish group of investors. So as I say, it's a Dragon Den style pitch. However, today I'd just like to focus a little bit for you as our first press conference on the global travel and tourism sector, particularly its economic growth and environmental impact. Obviously, 2024 is a very exciting time for our sector. This year, global travel and tourism in GDP terms is set to surpass the pre-pandemic levels in 2019 and reach a record of over 11 trillion US dollars, to be precise, 11.1 trillion. This incredible growth means the sector now represents 10% of the global economy, and travel and tourism will support 348 million jobs around the world. Just to put that in a little bit of context for you, the population of the USA is 333 million. So that's the kind of number of people that our sector gives employment to. On sustainability, we always say, alongside our economic achievements, we are equally committed to reducing our environmental impact. And as I always say, and those that you know me, I've always said you cannot control what you actually cannot measure properly. And that's why tomorrow at the summit, that's why previously, those of you that came to our summit in Riyadh in 2022, we launched a report to measure our sector's footprint on the environment. And we did that in partnership with the Ministry of Tourism of Saudi Arabia. And today and tomorrow, I will be revealing our latest update. In 2023, global greenhouse gas emissions from travel and tourism totaled 3.5 billion tonnes of CO2, which accounts for 6.7% of global greenhouse gas emissions. We're pleased that emissions are now 12% below pre-pandemic levels. This is primarily because GHG intensity, which measures emissions per unit of GDP, has actually decreased by 8.4% since 2019. This demonstrates our sector's ability to decouple our sector's growth from the increase in greenhouse gas emissions. However, while this is good news that our GHG intensity is decreasing, our aim must be absolute reductions in emissions. And to achieve this, reducing our dependence on fossil fuels is critical. We want to be open, we want to be accountable, and we want to be honest. So we need to really analyse this data well. So it's clear that there are still significant opportunities to accelerate the green transition by changing the composition of the energy travel and tourism uses. Whilst oil continues to be the primary energy source at 54%, we successfully reduced coal usage from 18% in 2019 to 15% last year. The share of low-carbon energy sources, nuclear and renewable, increased from 5.1% in 2019 to 5.9% last year, reflecting ongoing efforts to reduce dependence on fossil fuels. However, there is still much more work to be done, and for this we need the support of governments in putting renewable energy on our grids and developing sustainable fuels for our transport. And for aviation, we continue to call on governments to incentivise the production of sustainable aviation fuel. I want to just briefly talk about another announcement I'm going to be making tomorrow, which is about tax revenues. So the resurgence of global travel and tourism is also mirrored in the tax revenues that accrue to government exchequers globally. In 2023, total travel and tourism tax revenues amounted to $3.32 trillion. This equates to 9.6% of overall global tax revenues. And we really want to see governments will use those to build roads and open schools and do all the things that governments need to invest in. But we really want them to use some of that money to reinvest in decarbonising our infrastructure, expanding renewable energies, and supporting our businesses in their green transition. As Virginia said at the outset, travel and tourism is not just recovering, it is really thriving. Indeed, it is booming and evolving to meet the challenges of the future. Together, we can continue to drive economic growth while ensuring that we protect our planet for generations to come. Thanks to all of you for being here. I know some of you had some really, really long trips, and I do applaud. I think I met someone with 30 hours. We should run a little tab about who spent the longest time getting here. So I'm really grateful. As the Minister said, Perth is isolated, but its connectivity is incredible and improving all the time. It really is a new gateway into Australia. Thank you, and I look forward to seeing more of you in the coming days.